Perched on the banks of the San Lorenzo River in the quiet mountain town of Ben Lomond, California, stands Howden Castle. Built in the 1920s by Robert and Elizabeth Howden, it has long captured the imagination of locals and travelers winding their way along Highway 9. But this is more than just a curious landmark. It is a story that begins not in California, but in Scotland. Robert and Elizabeth Howden were born in Scotland in a small village south of Edinburgh in 1863. Trained as a stone carver, Robert spent his youth working in mills before crossing the Atlantic in 1882 to begin a new life in America. They settled first in St. Paul, Minnesota, and were married in 1886. Together, they shared their Scottish heritage with their community, Robert through song, performance, and his beloved lectures on the great poet Robert Burns. They were both competitive lawn bowlers and the top in their league for many years. They had 3 children, Robert Jr., Bessie, and James. By 1890, the Howdens had moved to Tacoma, Washington, where he became a respected figure in the St. Andrew's Society. In 1894, they left Tacoma for Oakland, California, so admired by his peers that the Tacoma Society threw a grand celebration in their honor. In Oakland, Robert entered the tile and mantel business, and before long, the Howdens' small shop on Webster Street was producing the ornate fireplaces that graced Victorian homes across the Bay Area. The business prospered. In 1912, Robert donated a hall in his building to the St. Andrew's Society, ensuring the Scottish tradition had a permanent home in Oakland. By 1919, his sons had joined the business, now proudly named Howden and Sons. Few people know that the Howdens left behind another historic building. In 1925, Oakland landmark the Howden Tile Building was built at 337 17th Street. Designed by architects McWethy and Greenleaf, and adorned with tile work laid by Howden himself, it was both a monument to his success and a gift to future generations. In 1926, the Howdens purchased a parcel of land along the San Lorenzo River from Mrs. Addie T. Carey. She had owned it since 1916, when it was first acquired from the Mountain Light and Water Company. On this land, Robert Howden would set out to realize a dream. In the July 21, 1933 edition of the Santa Cruz Sentinel, Robert explained his motivation for the castle.
First time my eyes rested on this, I realized the possibilities of building a miniature castle thereon. This was now my one and only thought, to get possession and put it into effect. No one seemed anxious to tell me who owned the property, evidently considering my scheme the height of folly. At last, I located the owner and at once met his terms, and my dream castle was about to become a fact, with only one man to help me with the heavy work, and most of the time alone. I have erected one of the sites to the tourists of the San Lorenzo Valley. Hundreds of cameras have pictured it, and when complete, it will be a museum in itself of the many specimens of my handiwork. Sculptures in cement stones, mosaics in coloured tiles, engravings on glass, paintings, antiques of ancient warfare, panels and vases of abalone shells, and other exhibits.
The Howdens became frequent visitors to their new retreat. Here, surrounded by redwoods and stone walls, Robert gave lectures on the life and poetry of Scotland's bard, Robert Burns. The castle was not just a structure of stone, it was an echo of heritage, carried across the sea and rooted in California soil. But the dream was not without hardship. In 1932, the castle made front-page news when it was robbed. Nearly $1,000 worth of fine furniture and artwork, treasures the Howdens had lovingly placed inside, were stolen. On April 27, 1938, Elizabeth passed away. By July, Robert had sold the castle to Dr. Norman Sullivan, a well-known doctor from Santa Cruz. Sullivan quickly made extensive modifications to the castle, Robert would stay active in the community, writing poetry for the Oakland newspapers and being active in lawn bowling. He died on January 28, 1955, thus ending a legacy that is still celebrated today.